Test, test. Shabbat Shalom and welcome everyone. Welcome to Temple Beth Shalom. I'm Robert Davis. I'm one of the rabbis here. This is Cantor Siegel. She is the cantor here, and we're glad that all of you can be here for this Shabbat afternoon service. We are a praying congregation and invite you to join with us in prayer. The words are found in your book, the English, the Hebrew, the transliteration, and if none of those work, the prayers of your own hearts will be absolutely beautiful. We're going to begin this afternoon with a nigun, a song without words. Ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya 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 la 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 la, ya la la, ya Everyone appears to be excited to pray today. We're glad that everyone is here, ready to pray and to celebrate Yitzchak becoming a bar mitzvah. Not only will he be chanting from Torah and Haftarah and teaching, but he'll be leading us in prayers. And so to begin that process, I want to invite AJ to come on up, as well as his parents, for his parents to present his talit to him. Don't worry, you'll get one in about 12 years. It's okay. It's okay. So before you place the talit on your shoulders, I'll ask you to recite this blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu v'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehitatef b'tzitzit.
Amen. And as you place the talit around his shoulders, go ahead and place it around his shoulders. I'll remind you, AJ, that what makes the talit important is not just the fabric, which is beautiful. Your grandfather brought this back from Israel for you, but what makes the talit special are these strings right here, these tzitzit, these reminder that the mitzvot are what's important. And so as I'm going to ask the three of you to join together and pray together the Shekianu prayer, this prayer that asks that we count our blessings that we've reached this moment. Baruch atah Adonai my pleasure to invite Yitzchak up to lead us in prayers. We're going to begin on page 220 in the prayer book.
Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, od yehalelucha selah.
Happy are those who dwell in your house. They will sing your praises forever. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, od yehalelucha selah. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, od yehalelucha selah. Ashrei, ashrei, ashrei yoshvei beitecha. Ashrei, ashrei, ashrei yoshvei beitecha. Happy are those who dwell in your house. They will sing your praises forever. Happy are those who dwell in your house. They will sing your praises forever.
Ve'anachnu nevarech ya me'ata ve'ad olam. Hallelujah. We turn to page 226 and rise for the Amidah. Adonai, Sefer Tativ Uvi Yagi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Velohei Avranu, Ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Velohei Yaakov. Elohei Sarach, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur, V'chanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Chakol, V'zocher Hasdei Avot, Ve'imot, Umevi Geula Livnei Benehem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezret Ara.
Ata gibor leolam Adonai, mechaye hakol ata rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach umorid haga Hashem, mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim verofech holim, umatir asurim. Umekayem emunato lishenei afar michamocha baal gevurot umidom elach melech memid umechaye umatzmiach Yeshua v'nemanat lahachayot hakol baruch atah Adonai mechaye Hakol.
We remain standing for the Kedushah on page 232.
Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam Keshem shemakdishimo tov v'shmei marom Kakatuv al yad neviecha
proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated.
We continue with the Kedushat Hayom on page 234. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu ritzei bin motenu bin muhatenu. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest.
I don't think he wants to rest, but
continue with the Ritzei prayer on pages 236 and 237. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Israel. Utfilatam be'ahava tekabel. Uthi leratzon tamid avodat Israel amecha. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw nearer to life, to peace, and to joy. May we find true rest, holiness in our deeds, worth in our study of Torah. Let us feed on the love of goodness. Let us drink from the love of goodness. Restrain our thirst for excess and cleanse our hearts to serve life well. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw near in life, in peace, and in joy. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadecha be'ira na'avod. We continue with a prayer of gratitude, Modim Anachnu Lach, on page 238. Modim anachnu lach she'ata hu Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu le'olam va'ed. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one, whose mercies never end, O compassionate one, whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov, shimcha, ulcha, na'eh, lehadot. We sing together a prayer for peace, Shalom Rav, page 240.
Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amecha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amecha, Tasim Le'olam. Ke'atam Lechadon, Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amecha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amecha, Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Tasim We take a few moments for our own silent reflections. They say that every Jewish soul, whoever lived and whoever will live, was at the foot of Mount Sinai when Moses came down with the tablets. And today we reenact that moment at Sinai when AJ will receive the Torah into his hands, will chant its beautiful words, and will teach us its message. Today is the day that AJ takes his place among his family and his friends who love him. Taking your place in an enduring line. This is the day that you stand up to say, our tradition is mine. You will now read the Torah, it's been passed on to you. It's our law and our story, but each telling is new. It is said we stood at Sinai, and today you know you're there. You're the promise of a people, a blessing and a prayer. Taking your place in a resilient line. This is the day that you stand up to say our tradition is mine. You will now hold the Torah, forge a link to the past. You're the face of our future and the reason we last. Lahalechet biracha v'lishmor mitzvotav kol hayamim. May you walk in God's ways, and may all of your days be blessings. It is said we stood at Sinai, and today you know you're there. You're the promise of a people, a blessing and a prayer. You're the promise of our people, a blessing and a prayer.
I'll ask you now to turn in the prayer book to page 244 as we prepare for the Seder Kriyat Torah, the service for the reading of Torah on this beautiful Shabbat morning. I'm going to draw your attention as well to the pamphlet here with AJ's picture on it. And I draw your attention to it because in it are found some of the honors for the service, and we're about ready to reach that moment. And so as we prepare to read Torah, I'm going to ask those who are designated for the first ark opening to come on. Mr. Brannick's already all over it. Thank you. Those who are designated for the first ark opening, as well as those of you on the right-hand side of the page, the Torah carriers, those who've been designated as Torah carriers, to come over here and stand right where Mr. Brannick is, right down here at the bottom of the stairs right now. Come on up. Now's the time. And everyone else, please rise as we enter into the Torah service. Page 244. There is none like you among the gods, Adonai. There are no deeds like yours. You are sovereign over all worlds, and your dominion is in all generations. Adonai reigns. Adonai has reigned. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Adonai will give strength to our people. Adonai will bless our people with peace.
Ki Metzion tetzei Torah, Ki Metzion tetzei Torah, Udevar Adonai Merushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah.
Yitzchak, this is the Torah. In it is found the wisdom and the traditions of our people dating back to Mount Sinai in the desert thousands of years ago. In a moment, this Torah will be passed to you, not just the scroll, but those lessons that are found within it. The value of the Torah is not found just by reading it, it's found by living it. And so to reenact this passing of Torah from generation to generation with the prayer that and the hope that you will not only read from the Torah but live it and embrace it as part of your life, I invite your parents and your grandparents to come up to pass the Torah to you on this day of your becoming bar mitzvah.
We are gifts and we are blessings. We are history in song. We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. The door of our door, Nagid God Lecha. The door of our door, we protect this chain from generation to generation. The door of our door, these lips will praise your name. The door of our door, Nagid God Lecha. The door of our door, we protect this chain from generation to generation. The door of our door, these lips will praise your name. Lecha Adonai hagedula v'hagevura v'hatiferet v'hanetza v'hahod. Kibol bashamayim u'va'aretz, kibol bashamayim u'va'aretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha v'hinaseh lechol erod. Yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim,
Please be seated. Yitzhak, come on up here.
Willow's first.
Willow, come on up. Hey, Willow, come up here. Hold on. Wait.
Adam, you are the best big brother anyone can ask for. I know that you will always protect Jackson and I. My favorite memory with you is when we went to Israel and planted our trees together. I am so excited for you and I to take Jack and Dylan to Israel and for them to plant their trees next to ours. I love when you teach me how to get better at basketball, especially when you help me shoot and do drills with me. I also love how we watch movies and TV shows together, and sometimes you let me choose. As we both grow up, I know that Jackson and I will always look up to you. Love, Willow, and Jack.
Hello, everybody. It took me a while to finish this, but I think I did. So I think I'm ready to speak to AJ today on his bar mitzvah. But I wanted to start off by thanking all of those who traveled near and far to be here today. This day would not be as special without all of you. And myself, Victoria, and Adam are so incredibly grateful that you are here with us. Since March 2020, the importance of cherishing moments like this, where we can all be together, can't be understated. We had our baby Jack during the pandemic, and many of you are already only meeting him for the first time this weekend. Anytime a joyous event brings family and friends together is something to cherish. But when it's something like today, your firstborn becoming a bar mitzvah, it is very special. We are grateful to have such a wonderful synagogue and community so close to our home, which we joined as members shortly after moving here 7 years ago. Thank you to Rabbi Davis, Cantor Siegel, Cantor Nicholson, and everyone here at Temple Beth Shalom that helped us all be here today safe and in person. To the grandparents, my parents Alan and Vicky, and Victoria's mother Leslie, and her father David, who I know is with us. Thank you for all that you do and the love and support that we know we have. Adam's foundation is his family, and we are all so grateful for all of you. And we're also grateful to your partners here today, Stuart, Debbie, and Graham. Thank you for being here for Adam. I don't have enough time to talk about Dave and how sorely he is missed today, other than to just say just that. Dave, you are sorely missed today, and you would have had a blast tonight with us. You also would have been so very proud of the young man AJ has become. To the aunts and uncles, Andrew and Nikki, being apart this long has been really hard, including seeing all that you went through only over FaceTime. Victoria said something the night you guys arrived a couple nights ago. She said to me that being with you makes her feel that everything is all right. And while not ideal, she said to me, it has to be at least twice a year, Jay. It just has to be. So I hope we can work with that. And thank you for coming all this way to support AJ and our family. We are very grateful. Dave and Kelsey, it's still hard to believe that we have babies so close in age. And it's going to be so fun seeing them grow up together. We love when we can be with you guys, and we are very grateful to live so close. To my special Willow, you will be standing reading the Torah in a few short years. I know you will do amazing. And if I was a betting man, I'd bet you'll do everything in your power to do a blessing or two more than Adam. And let him know about it. Having you as a daughter and AJ having you as a sister is the best. You are the kind of person that people will always be drawn to, including us. I am so grateful for you, and although AJ wouldn't admit it, he is too. To my baby Jack, wherever you are, you too will be a bar mitzvah one day in around 12 years, where hopefully by then Adam will have a job and chip in. Willow can't get enough of you, and no matter what kind of day AJ had at school, or what is going on in the mind of a 13-year-old, which I don't even want to know, both of your reactions when you see each other could brighten up anyone's day. We're all very grateful for you, Jackson, that you came into our lives. To Victoria, whom I met at 19 years old, we both believe in family, being kind, accepting differences in people and ideas, and love. I knew you were it for me a long time ago. I was in awe of you, how I witnessed how you supported Adam along this journey. I have shouted this from the rooftops before, and I will continue to do so. Any and every Jewish community should celebrate women like you and welcome you with open arms. I challenge anyone to tell me today that my children aren't Jewish or that Adam is not a bar mitzvah. Any community that thinks that is, in my humble opinion, very short-sighted. I also give kudos to your family who attended their first Jewish wedding in New York City in January 2005 and are at their first bar mitzvah today. My children are already making this Jewish community proud and will continue to do so, and this would not have been the case without your sacrifice. Adam, please remember that forever and be grateful for your mother. I know I am every day. And now to you, Adam. I remember your firsts, your first lost tooth, your first steps, your first word. That is part of being the oldest. Everything for you is the first. I remember your first day of school in London. We were so nervous, and you turned and ran to the school without looking back. I thought your mother was going to lose it. You are braver than you know, living in 2 countries, 3 cities, and attending 4 schools at almost 13. You have traveled to Japan, Northeast Lincolnshire, and many other places. I will be right there with you, son, at many more firsts. It will come before you know it, so I try not to think about it too much. You've always amazed your mother and me with your independence and curiosity. You always loved to read, and you also loved my stories, especially the classics that I told over and over again. You are well-rounded with many interests, including something you have done since the age of 5, play music. You started with the guitar, and now you added drums, where you are doing a solo next month and are performing in competitions. You are very talented, and I love that you play because it gives you the confidence you deserve. You and I share a love for sports, and we've gone to countless heat games. We love to win, but more so are devastated when we lose. When I was young, maybe 5 or 6, it was amazing how good I was at mini golf because I beat my much older cousins and even adults. What we now know is that they told the kid that the highest score wins, which I totally get now. Whoever came up with that, well played. When we compete at anything, I warn you beforehand that I, quote, play to win. My intention, at least I believe at the time, is that if you beat me, you'll know it's for real. But I admittedly still hate to lose. You know I see the same in you. When you lose or don't do something up to your expectations, which is usually perfection, you sometimes take it very hard and personally. I used to sit in the back seat of my parents' car, silent after a loss, thinking that it was all my fault if I didn't make every shot or every play I could. This is not something to hide or be ashamed of. It is who we are. We care very much in doing our best and being successful. It also makes us humble, and in life, humility is one of the most attractive qualities in anyone you meet. Now, the fear of failure is not necessarily all bad if it motivates you to work harder, practice harder, and study harder. But the important part, and I wish I always took this advice, is that the fear of losing or failing or not making a play or messing up and being embarrassed cannot be a reason not to do something. Have the mindset that you'll continue to give it everything you have. And as you learn from your stories of the Torah, nobody is perfect, so don't think you need to be. You spent so much time and effort studying for this day, and I know how important it was to become a bar mitzvah, and I want that to convince you that you can accomplish everything you dream. We also share a very special place you go to during the summer. It is so great when I see you in pictures wearing that black long sleeve with my name on the back. 7 weeks is a long time, but they know what they're doing. The ability for you to live in that world every summer is a privilege, just as it was for me. I'll never forget your first summer when we only signed you up for a few weeks, ending right after visiting day. What occurred that visiting day was an orchestrated ambush. We were bombarded with 10-year-old kids asking whether you could stay. Then you asked me, and I said I was fine with it, but we did have a deal, and you have to convince your mother. Your mother at the time was so worried that you were going to be so upset seeing us because you were homesick. But when you went up to a deck overlooking the lake, I imagine that right before you heard, "Don't worry, we'll be back in only a couple days," you asked her to stay. It was a successful plan because you did stay. And while I was looking forward to having you back, I was so happy for you. I'm grateful that you will continue to go, so long as you want to, because I think it's even better as you get older. Your Hebrew name is Yitzchak, in honor of your great-grandfather, my grandfather, who was bar mitzvah many years ago. Your grandfather was bar mitzvah 60 years ago, and I was bar mitzvah 30 years ago. So I expect to watch your firstborn son become bar mitzvah 17 years from now. Think about how special it is that you've worked to lead the same service that your great-grandfather, your grandfather, and I did when we were your age. I'd like to think that your great-grandfather's ancestors did the same, but that might not have been possible. Because many of our ancestors, as you know, came from Russia and Eastern Europe, where we have been watching a brave Jewish leader in Ukraine. When he was asked about what being Jewish meant to him, he said he came from an ordinary Soviet Jewish family, adding that most Jewish families in the Soviet Union were not religious. The reality was that a strong Jewish identity didn't exist in the Soviet Union because it couldn't. Until the late 1980s, gathering for something as innocuous as a Passover Seder was practically a subversive act, and teaching Hebrew was simply not allowed. Our family fled to America because of this persecution and oppression. Adam, if your ancestors weren't brave enough to get on a boat with nothing, looking for a better life for themselves and their future generations, the people you see on TV could easily be us. As much as the past few years have been difficult for us all, we should do everything we can not to take for granted that we can all be here today, watching you lead this service so beautifully and living in peace. I've used the word gratitude intentionally since I started. Have gratitude and be thankful for all you have and who you are, because that is the way to be truly happy. Sometimes it is hard to put things in proper perspective, living where we live in Miami Beach. But make it a routine to step outside yourself and be thankful for your family, your friends, and everything God blessed you with. I'm very proud of you, AJ, for donating a portion of your bar mitzvah gifts to the Jewish Federation's Ukraine Relief Fund because they need our support. And finally, all I want for you is for you to be the best and happiest you can be. Follow your instincts. Your mother and I and the generations before us created the foundation for you, and I know you'll continue just to be you, who I'm very grateful for. I'm so proud of you today, the way you led this service, and we'll read from the Torah, and I'm so very proud of the man you are becoming. Always remember this day and this feeling. Mazel tov.
This Shabbat, we begin a new book of the Torah. The book is Vayikra. After its opening phrase, if you reach down underneath your seat, you can pull out the Chumash, the bigger blue book. It's right underneath your seat. It has the Torah reading in it. Vayikra means, and God called to Moses. It does not say in the Torah, be here on Saturday at 4:30. It's not so direct. And I would argue that it's often how we experience the divinity of the cosmos. It's not always so direct. The call might be direct or it might be oblique, but it is almost never when we expect it or ask for it or look for it. Acts of kindness and heroism and opportunities to answer the call usually don't come when we are prepared. On this Shabbat, may we take this time, these brief moments that we have, to listen to the call that God gives to us, to our souls, the call that asks us to be the best person we can be, the call that begs us to make our world better. Let us hearken to that call even when we're not ready for it. It's my pleasure to ask Yitzchak to call up his aliyot on this Shabbat morning. The first aliyah is found on page 660, chapter 1, verse 1.
Ya'amdu ha'olim la'aliyah harishona. For the first aliyah, I would like to call up my grandmother, Vicky Mann, and my aunt, Reva Marker, to the Torah.
That's fine. You can use that. Okay.
One, two, three. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamavarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bacha Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Vayikra el Moshe, Vaydaber Adonai elav me'ohel moed lemor. Daber el bnei Yisrael ve'emarta elehem Adam ki yakriv mikem korban ladonai. Min habehema, min habakar, umin hatson, takrivu et korbanhem. Im olah korbano, min habakar, zachar tamim, yakrivenu, o petach, ohel moed. Yakriv et tov. Lirtzano lifnei Adonai.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher natan lanu Torat Emet V'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
The second aliyah is also found on page 660. It's chapter 1, verse 4.
Ya'amdu ha'olim la'aliyah hashniya. Avi Yosef ben Shlomo ve'Hamva. For the second aliyah, I would like to call up my parents, Victoria Rowe Traster and Jeremy Traster, my sister Willow, and my brother Jackson to the Torah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'samach yado al rosh ha'olah ונרצה לו להפר אליו, ושחט את בן הבקר לפני אדוני, והקריבו בני אהרון הכהנים את הדם, וזרקו את הדם על המזבח סביב אשר פתח אוהל מועד, והפשיט את העולה וניטע אותה לנתחיך.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. In just a moment, our bar mitzvah, Yitzchak, will be called up to read from the Torah, his maftir, the special additional section of the Torah. And so in just a moment, the cantor, why don't you hand me the other cover here? That one, yep. The cantor will call up Yitzchak for his Torah portion when he officially becomes bar mitzvah.
Ya'amod ya'amod habachur bar hamitzvah v'aliyat haTorah Yitzchak ben Yosef chazak chazak.
Baruch atah
Baruch
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim venatan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
This Torah reading is found on page 1335, verse 17.
Zachor et asher asa lecha Amalek baderech Betlechem mimitzrayim asher korban baderech vayzanev becha kol haneheshalim acharecha ve'ata ayev ve'yageya velo yarei Elohim v'chaya bechania Adonai Elohecha lecha mikol oyevecha misaviv ba'aretz asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha nahala lerishta timha et zeher Amalek betachat hashmaim lo tishkach.
Blessing right after
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam nata betachenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Fantastic.
And in just a moment, Yitzchak will be reading from the Haftarah.
I just want to mention that AJ is going, this Torah, we chant in the afternoon the Torah portion for the next following week, and which is the beginning, as you heard from Rabbi Vayikra, but it's also known as Shabbat Zachor, which is the Shabbat that precedes Purim, the Shabbat of remembrance, and his Haftarah was a note to remember a descendant of Haman, Amalek, who led a rebellion against the Jewish people. And his Haftarah is actually from the book of Esther. It's kind of like a prequel to the story of Esther, who was, of course, we know, the heroine of the story. So he's going to begin with Shabbat Zachor, and he's going to announce it.
The Haftarah for Shabbat Zachor can be found on page 1453. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar bin vi'im tovim v'ratzah v'divrehem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Habocher Batorah Uv Moshe Avdo Uv Yisrael Amo Uvin Vihei Ha'emet V'tzvat Tzedek. Vayavo Hamelech V'Haman Lishtot Im Esther Hamalka Vayomer Hamelech leEsther Gam Bayom Hasheni Bamisteh Hayayin Ma She'elatech Esther Hamalka Vetinaten Lach Uma Bakashatech Ad Hatzi Hamalchut Veteash Hataan Esther Hamalka Vatomer Im Matzati chen be'einecha hamelech ve'im al hamelech tov. Tinaten li nafshi bishelati ve'ami bavakashati. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol haolamim tzadik bechol hadorot ha'el hane'eman ha'omer ve'oseh hamdaber hamalkayin shakol devarav emet vetzedek. For the Torah, for the privilege of worship, for the prophets, and for this Shabbat that you, Adonai, our God, have given us, for holiness and rest, for honor and for glory, we thank and bless you. May your name be blessed forever by every living being. Praise to you, Adonai, for the Sabbath and its holiness. Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Hu u'Baruch Shemo.
Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Okay. Done with your Hebrew. Can I get a smile when you're done? I said, can I get a smile yet? He's done with his Hebrew. Now this is easy for him. But you need to be slow and talk nice and loud, okay?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm so happy that all of you are joining me on this special day, and I'm hoping that you're all having a great time celebrating this occasion with me. My Torah portion is Vayikra. It is found in the book of Vayikra Leviticus, which is the third book of the Torah. It is about how Moses received not only knowledge and the 10 Commandments from Mount Sinai, but also he received a system of law. This system included the 12 tribes of Old Israel. 11 of those tribes were simple. They grew crops and raised livestock, except the 12th tribe. This tribe was the tribe of priests. The priests were the governors in this system of law, and all of the other tribes would sacrifice their crops and livestock to them without blemish as a form of taxes. Blemish means a small mark or flaw which spoils the appearance of something. So, for example, something without blemish would be the strongest bull in its herd. In chapter 4, verse 2, God tells Moses to speak to the people of Israel, saying, if a person sins unintentionally of all the commandments of the Lord, which may not be committed, and he commits one of them, then he shall bring for his sin, which he has committed, an unblemished young bull as a sin offering to the Lord. What we learn from this verse is that just because you do something wrong unintentionally, you still have to take responsibility for your actions. For example, let's say that a man is in a grocery store purchasing a pack of gum and his hands are full. Someone calls him and he puts the packet of gum in his back pocket. Then, after the call, he completely forgets about the packet and walks out of the store. He would have to atone for his sins by going back to the store and paying the clerk for the packet. What I learned from this section is that ignorance is no excuse for the law, and just because no one is watching, you still have to do the right thing. For me, being a bar mitzvah means so much more than standing at the bima chanting Hebrew. It means doing the right thing when nobody's watching. Speaking of doing the right thing, for my bar mitzvah project, I'll be donating money to the Greater Miami Jewish Ukraine Emergency Fund. Innocent people in Ukraine are suffering as the conflict intensifies in front of our eyes. Thousands of Ukrainian Jews need our help, and the Ukrainian president himself is a descendant of Holocaust survivors. I would like to express my gratitude to Cantor Nicholson and Rabbi Davis and Cantor Siegel for preparing me for this day. I would like to thank my godfather and uncle, Uncle Andrew, and my aunt, Auntie Nikki, for being here with me. I would like to thank my godmother, Auntie Reva, for making it here, and of course, I would like to thank everyone who traveled from long distances to celebrate this special day with me. I would like to thank my Uncle David and Aunt Kelsey for being here, and I'm so happy that you live close now so that I can see both of you and little Dylan even more. I would like to thank my grandparents, Nanny, who is always so excited to see me in person, even if it's the day after a previous visit. Grandpa and Oma, you both have been preparing and anticipating this day my whole life, and I'm so glad that you are both here to celebrate it with me. Grandma, I know that you don't know a lot about bar mitzvahs, but that makes me even happier that you will celebrate this day with me. That is so important with me, even though it's not as significant to you. I would like to thank my brother and sister, Jackson and Willow, for truly being the best siblings a brother could ever ask for. And of course, I'd like to thank my mother and father, the people who have nurtured me from day one. They have provided me with food, shelter, education, and love. I love you guys so much, and I know that you both will equally always have me and my siblings' backs no matter what, and that is what I love most about both of you. Thank you all so much for being here with me tonight.
Beautiful, AJ. Hang on just a second here. Let me just move the Torah a little bit. AJ, Yitzchak, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. We are all so incredibly proud of you, but more importantly, you should be proud of yourself because you took this on and you're the one that did this. This isn't something that your parents or your grandparents or your little brother or sister can do. It's something that you have done, and you should feel very proud of yourself. This afternoon, you read from this new book, this new chapter of the Torah, and God calls, as I said before, to Moses unexpectedly. No appointment, no Zoom meeting, no flashing reminder, just simply pay attention. AJ, today is the day you become bar mitzvah. As we talked, you don't have a bar mitzvah. You become a bar mitzvah. And once you become a bar mitzvah, you're always a bar mitzvah. It's our tradition's way of saying that you're responsible for your life and responsible for making our world better. Paying attention is not just about paying attention to your Hebrew homework or your secular studies at school, but to pay attention to your life and to your existence. My teacher used to sum up the Torah by saying, you do the right thing simply because it's the right thing. You already understand this. Your internal sense of good and bad and right and wrong, it's intact beautifully. You have a high sense of values and a high set of expectations for yourself. I know that your favorite basketball player is Michael Jordan. Pretty good basketball player. Michael Jordan, though, is well known for saying that he missed more than half of his shots. He lost plenty of times. He missed that last second shot at the buzzer. And he got up, started bouncing that ball, and went back on the court. Doing the right thing means sometimes making a mistake, but not dwelling on that mistake, but rather going back on the court and attempting to do the right thing again. You are kind and you are thoughtful, and you care about being the best person you can be. What a gift. What a gift that he's got that in his soul. This is your call to do the right thing by simply being yourself. You spoke about the difference between being an intentional and an unintentional mistake in our actions. Becoming a bar mitzvah is when you embrace the responsibility for all of your actions, the unintentional, but more specifically, the intentional. This is when this point in life, this phase in life, where you make that shift from your parents being responsible to you being responsible. And we see you're embracing that and holding on to that. You said it perfectly in your speech. Doing the right thing even when no one is looking. That is, in a lot of ways, how our Talmud defines being an adult. The Talmud says that an adult is someone whose yes means yes and whose no means no. That kind of intentionality. All of us rejoice that you have reached this moment in your life and that you're embracing this sense of self-responsibility, that responsibility necessary to live a life and create your world with a positive sense of possibility, of joy, hope, and meaning. Mazel tov, Yitzchak, to you and to your family. Mazel tov. You should all be very proud of him, especially knowing that he should be proud of himself, because he's really embracing this path of becoming an adult in such a beautiful way. So it's my pleasure to give this blessing to you. Yivarechacha Adonai v'yishmarecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichanecha. May God's presence shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's presence always lift you up, and may you be filled with the blessing of shalom, the blessing of wholeness and peace. And let us together say, Amen. And as we prepare to return the Torahs to the ark, we're going to sing Eitz Chaim. And as we do that, I'm not sure, Willow, is this your responsibility, the candy? You passing the candy? Now's the time to pass the candy around to everyone quickly. Let's do that. Don't eat the candy yet, because we're going to shower in just a moment. We're going to shower Yitzchak with sweetness.
New
If you're under the age of 15, come help clean the bima up with all this candy. Come pick it up. Standing, we turn to page 282. I'll ask those who've been designated to open the ark for the second time to please come forward as we return the Torah to the ark. We remain standing for Aleinu. Standing for just a moment to remember all those who came before us, those who may have died in years past, those who may have died in recent days. Our thoughts turn to those, our loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. On this Shabbat, we especially remember as well David Rowe, Francis and John Traguno, Barney and Elaine Ash, John and Margaret Rowe, Lee and Irving Traster. And if there's a name that I haven't mentioned, you're in a period of mourning, you're saying Kaddish, I'll ask you to please mention any of those names. Zecher Tzaddik Livracha, may the memory of all the righteous in our lives be a blessing as we recite together words of Kaddish found in the prayer book on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei rabbah, v'yalma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarak le'olam olamei amaya, yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei d'kudusha b'rechu le'elah min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'miran b'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav hu ya'asei shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the source of peace grant peace to all who mourn, comfort all who are bereaved, and send healing to all who are saddened, as together we say, Amen. Please be seated. And Yitzchak, I'll ask you to come up here. We have a few presentations for you. First of all, Mazel Tov again. We're so happy for you. To make sure that you believe this tomorrow or later when you wake up after the important win tonight by the Heat. This bar mitzvah certificate verifying that you did it, that you became bar mitzvah on this day. Very happy for you. As well, we have a number of certificates. This one here is from the high school in Israel, encouraging you to go to Israel following 10th grade. As well, this certificate from the National Federation of Temple Youth, encouraging you to go on one of those trips with your fellow confirmands in the summer after 10th grade. Your friends at Temple Beth Shalom been very kind to you in ways that you won't even know about until this moment. An Israel bond has been purchased for you. Right there is your name. This is a beautiful way of supporting Israel. A member of our congregation has donated money so that every single bar and bat mitzvah gets an Israel bond. It's an investment in Israel, and when the bond comes due in, I think, 7 years, the money's yours. Hopefully you'll take that money and reinvest it back in the state of Israel. And you'll get information in the mail about that. Don't worry, parents. And then also a tree has been planted in your honor by the clergy and the staff of the temple. A tree has been planted in the land of Israel by the clergy and the staff. A Kiddush cup from the sisterhood, encouraging you to always remember to lift up sweetness in your life. And finally, a Tanakh, a traveling Torah, so that you will have Torah with you wherever you go. We're very, very happy for you. We're very excited for you. You've become bar mitzvah. And I'm going to ask your immediate family to come on up here to the Havdalah. We're going to make Havdalah. I'm going to ask all of you to stand as we're going to exit from Shabbat and celebrate this moment together.
Shavua Tov, 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 Shavua Tov. A good week of peace, may gladness reign and joy increase. A good week of peace, may gladness reign and joy increase.
Shavua Tov, Mazel Tov.